Hello, Jani. Welcome to the Love Offering Podcast.
Good morning.
So, we are doing something really special and unique. For the first time, actually, we are partnering with the Devoted Conference to bring this conversation in video to them and then also to share the audio with my podcast listeners. But something that the Devoted Conference is doing is they are sharing all the proceeds from the shirt sales they are giving to your ministry. And so your ministry is called Natalie's Sisters. And so
Right.
I'd love to just start this conversation by you sharing your heart for this ministry and just the story behind it.
Okay, I sure will. We'll just go back and kind of tell my story and
Yes.
how I got into this. I grew up in a pretty traditional home with a loving family and attended church, but I didn't know Jesus. We were not a Christian family, and because of that, my life took some unexpected twists and turns along the way. And so that's kind of what the story you'll hear today. Although, like I said, we attended church, but it was just on Sundays, and but I was a good student. I was a well-behaved kid, kind of just living a normal life in a white-collar family. And everyone was surprised when I eloped with my then older boyfriend at age 16, including myself. It just kind of happened. It was rocky from the start, as any teenage marriage would be. He wasn't faithful, and over the 2-year period that we were married, um, he left many times. It was a very difficult situation. By the age of 19, I was a single mom, working 2 jobs to make ends meet, and I was staring at a stack of unpaid bills. To be fair, I was on my own only because I was too proud to ask my parents for help. One night, I went to a club with some friends. We'd just gone out for the evening, and I wanted to hear a local band play. And this particular band had girls dancing from 5 to 9 beforehand. That was brand new to me. I'd never seen anything like it. We'd gotten there early, and one of them struck up a conversation with me. And by the end of the night, she had actually convinced me to come back and audition for a job. She'd really convinced me that that was the answer to all my financial problems. Unfortunately, I did, and I worked in that club and another club for a couple of years. There was absolutely nothing glamorous or positive about it, as she had kind of portrayed it to be. And without going into detail, it was probably one of the worst experiences of my life. I felt very degraded and abused, alone, and I actually started getting high every night to even face getting on stage. And that was something I had never done before.
Well, you have said that it's very hard to get out of the industry once you've stepped into us. So I'd love for you to tell us how you did.
Well, I started beauty school and worked my way through school. And the day I graduated, I left the clubs for good. I had a grandmother who was praying for me, and I have no doubt that that's the basis of how I got out. I worked in a local salon for many years, and then I married and attended University of Kentucky for a while. Later jobs included advertising, public relations, community development, and then I got an opportunity to apply for an administrative job at a local church. I was scared to death to apply for that because I thought they might find out about my past, but they didn't care. What an amazing hodgepodge of jobs that was, but it's also amazing to look back and see how God molded and used all of those jobs together for the experience that I'm going through now with the ministry.
So let's dive into what you're doing now. So tell us about when you first had the thought to help those women who found themselves in a similar position that you had been in.
Well, in 2000, I was sitting at lunch with my daughter and another coworker at Southland Christian Church where I was working, and we were talking about reaching out to women in the adult entertainment industry. And we brainstormed, and we just really couldn't think of anything to do. So we started talking to my son, who unfortunately at that time was caught up in the lifestyle. He was working as a bouncer in the clubs. We knew that he would have an idea on how to reach these ladies because he was working with them every night. And he wasn't a Christian, but he was a good person. He truly appreciated the outreach and the mission work that he saw Bethany and I doing. So he told us to bring food. He said the women never got a chance to eat well. And so we asked our friends, and we soon had a team of women who were cooking for us because Bethany and I, neither one could cook. And we had a few good friends who had a heart to go into the clubs with us. Now, over 20 years later, we're still making club visits to several of those clubs. And those weekly visits allow us to develop true relationships with the ladies who are working there. We're very respectful to everyone. We provide love, food, and community resources, whatever they need. without judgment. And when people ask us, why are you doing this? Why are you bringing food to us? We can let them know that God loves them and we love them and we just want to be there to help them. And women respond because they know that we care.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we all respond that way. And so let's fast forward a little bit. In 2011, you felt God calling you to do more. And then on January 1st, 2012, one of the women that you served in the clubs was actually murdered. So would you tell us more about this part of the story?
Yes. Natalie was her name. She had moved actually from the clubs to online escorting and street prostitution. And we didn't even realize that. We lose track of a lot of girls in the clubs because they move around so much. But we got a phone call from a former manager, and he told us about her death. And that really solidified our next step. We'd been praying for a year about what to do. And we felt like that was God's answer to what we needed to do. We needed to move forward. So we met with the police to see how we could best help women who were working on the street. We had no clue. We had no idea how the business worked or anything about it. So they came in and helped advise us, and we partnered with them. And before the day was over, the police had already referred our first sister to us who needed help.
Wow. So since that time, the ministry has continued to evolve. So I'd love for you to tell us more how it has.
Yeah. Well, every time you turn around, there's something new that needs to be done. But in addition to our continuing club outreach, we now have the street ministry, which has grown to include a drop-in center. So we now have a bricks and mortar location in the east end of Lexington. We've transformed a former crack house into a beautiful refuge for the ladies that we serve, the women who are sexually exploited and trafficked. We provide them with delicious food, clothing, toiletries. We have a director of client services who helps with any community resources they may need. We celebrate birthdays, babies, graduations, sobriety, and every special event that we can. We like to have a party. And when a woman's ready to make significant life change, we're there, and we assist them with whatever referrals we can to detox and rehab programs.
Yeah. Well, I love, so the logo of Natalies Sisters features a red cord, which is a reference to the biblical story of Rahab from the book of Joshua. So would you share this scripture reference with us and how it ties into your ministry?
Sure. Rahab worked in prostitution in the city of Jericho, when Joshua sent spies to Jericho before the Israelites overtook the city. And Rahab housed the men and hid them when the king got word they were in town. And she believed they were on a mission from God. And that's why she did it. And she asked them to spare her and her family when they came to take the city. The men told her to hang a red cord in the window to show that the people in her house were to be spared. So through her faith in God, Rahab was redeemed.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And that's what he does for all of us, is this redemption story. So kind of on this theme of a thread, is there a common thread that you have noticed with the women that you work with?
Yes, I would say all the women we work with, whether they're in the clubs or they're on the street, have experienced trauma of some kind, whether it's childhood sexual abuse, rape, physical abuse, trafficking. They're all somebody's sister, mother, daughter, aunt, just like all the women that we interact with every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what do you think, as you look upon these women that you are serving, what do you think is the greatest need in them that you see?
I would say it's the same with us. It's beyond the obvious physical needs. It's an understanding of grace and that God loves them right now, today, right where they are, no matter where they are.
Yeah. Right before this interview, we were kind of talking about, when we meet somebody's physical needs, it opens up to their emotional and spiritual needs being met. And I think that is just a prime example of what you all are doing through your ministry. So I'd love for you to talk about how you've seen God work within this ministry.
Every day is so exciting. It's unbelievable how he has blessed us, especially through this year of COVID. We didn't know what to expect. And every day we still don't know what to expect, but it's been, he just keeps showing up. There's still a lot of heartbreak. Every day we see women who are not ready to see the truth of who they are or their value and worth. Many don't think they can change or deserve to change, and that's a big hurdle to overcome. But when the light comes on, it's kind of like a light bulb goes on off over their head, and they realize that there's so much more than what they're doing. That's when we start to see miracles of change in their lives. And we see women get sober. We see them reunite with their families. We have one young woman next week who is getting ready to be reunited with her baby. She's been working on that for quite a while. We see them become stable and productive and begin to value themselves. It can take a long time and a whole lot of prayer. A few years ago, we were privileged to baptize one of our sisters that we'd been praying for 17 years.
Wow.
So patience is required, but we do see a lot of change.
It's beautiful, and how God has changed you and changed your heart and your own pain to now be such a beautiful purpose to help other people out of their pain, which is, again, what he does in all of us, just in varying ways. But the fact that you've been so obedient in that is really touching and inspiring to me. So when you think about your own story and the nature of God, what word comes to mind for you?
Well, again, it'd have to be grace. Obviously, because I experienced God's grace in such a huge way, so undeservedly and so abundantly. It's just necessary to extend that grace to other people, and it's a joy to do so. God took every mistake that I made and every wrong turn I made and turned it into good, and he can do that for everybody that we serve.
Yeah, his mercies are new every single
day.
Morning, and I'm so thankful for that. And we all need it for ourselves, and we need to extend it to other people.
And what a great reminder every day when we're serving to realize that it's not just for the women we serve, but for ourselves as well.
Yes. Well, so for the woman listening who has experienced pain in her past, how would you suggest that she turn her pain into purpose like you have?
Oh, wow. Just start to pray for God to show you a plan. A way to help others go through what you've gone through yourself. I always tell people to begin serving where God, go where God is already moving, but keep praying for God to show you his particular plan for you. And everybody has it. There's something in everybody's life, but not to wait on that, to go ahead and serve where he's serving. Serve where he's moving. And look for that particular place that he would have you step out.
Yeah, we all have a testimony. We've all had situations and circumstances and experiences that he's brought us through, and that we can. Sometimes we think we don't have the experience or enough, but where does he have you? Love there, and who is he surrounded you with?
That's right.
Love them. Yeah.
And it may not look dramatic or it may not be what you consider a story, but it's life experience. We all have those same life experiences. We just got to look for the particular one he wants to work through.
Well, and as I'm thinking even about your story, so many of the things that what you're doing is behind the scenes and unseen. Nobody even really, I know you have this ministry, but your day in, day out ministry, feeding 2 meals a day to these people, it's not seen, and it's not necessarily glamorous. I don't mean to be putting words in your mouth, but it's so significant. It's so significant. And even if it was just for the one person, I find that so interesting. But you have impacted so many more than just one, and I love that about you and your ministry, and how many people God has surrounded you with too. Because it's not just you; it's a group of people.
It's a wonderful team. That's right. We have a great team.
Yeah. Okay. So for the woman watching or listening that wants to get involved and support Natalie's sisters, how can she best do that?
Well, things are a little bit different right now during COVID. We haven't had a team training in a while. And when we do, it will probably be an online training. We hope to do that first in the next month or two. But I would say the best way would be to log on to our Facebook page and our webpage at nataliessisters.org and follow us on Facebook. And then go ahead and sign up for our monthly e-newsletter because we do update as often as we can. And then just see what area of the ministry speaks to you, because we have several. We've got the club ministry. We have a jail ministry when we're allowed back in after restrictions lift. Then we have the street ministry. We have prayer ministry. We have all kinds of things that folks can get involved in. And then check out our serve page on the webpage. It's very specific and lists every opportunity to serve. Anybody can be involved, really. There's something that everybody can do.
Yeah. You don't have to live in Lexington, Kentucky to be able to serve.
That's right.
Well, and I'm even just thinking about the ripple effect of this. Whoever is listening right now that may live, even, there's listeners across the world that could feasibly hear this story and say, I want to do something like this in my own community. Wouldn't that be beautiful?
That would be awesome. We've been blessed to train women from across the country. We've had probably 12 or 15 different groups come to us over the years. And it's just great to be able to, well, what I tell them is they're learning from our mistakes. We're letting them know ahead of time what not to do, and then they can go do what works in their community.
Yeah. Well, Jani, I love your heart. I love your heart to serve other women and to use what you have to love other women well, their physical, their emotional, and their social and spiritual needs. So God bless you.
We are blessed to do so. Thanks for sharing the story.
Yeah. Thanks for being on here today.
Okay.